A day we've long awaited is finally here. The NFL schedule is out for 2025. We'll break down all the games that you must watch.
The defending champs, Philadelphia Eagles, opening night, take on the Dallas Cowboys. But Dallas,
In recent years, the NFL has taken over Christmas Day from the NBA, but this one, a different kind of takeover. We're going streaming and in a big, big way.
the NFL has given us an international bonanza. Vikings, 2 games, 2 countries.
We are going to tell you all the nitty-gritty details of all the biggest games of that schedule release on Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee.
We have made it. Get through the draft and now schedule Palooza. We now know how it's going down this year. Oh man, I am excited. Nutmeg, how are we tonight?
I'm feeling good. Bucks McGee. We'll go over, of course, our team schedules a bit later on, but it doesn't look super bad for my Colts.
No. Interesting. Could be interesting. I like it. As long as you guys aren't doing, Tyreek Hill jokes and such, you guys are going to be okay this year.
I thought that was a little bit of an overreaction. It's not like he was
Yeah.
arrested by the Coast Guard.
As long as Danny Dimes can get you, 9-10 wins and, can handle the Falcons for me, I think it's going to be a great year for you guys.
That's right. And that game of particular is of note a little later on. How do you feel about your Bucs schedule?
I like it. I'm going to be honest. I like it. The primetime games they're big time, so I'm excited. I think, it's going to be interesting to see, but I'm confident. I am highly confident.
Hi, Vanessa Kitty. Thanks for hopping on and enjoying a little football talk this evening with us.
Hello.
We are going to get right into all the action right now. And of course, we're going to start off with the defending champs. Philadelphia will start off at home against a familiar face, their rival, the Dallas Cowboys. And I almost kind of feel like, do we even want to see the Cowboys on opening night, or is this just an example to see how this mercurial experiment of George Pickens under the star, if it blows up immediately?
Okay. See, I have always taken, opening night. You want it to feel special, like the champs, the banner, the whole spiel. I don't care about the Cowboys. Like there's no reason. They haven't earned it. Have they truly been relevant in the last 15 to 20 years? I could honestly say almost 30 years. There's no reason for it. I would have liked, maybe an up and comer Washington. I think Washington would have been great.
Yeah.
But nope, I got to watch Dak and the soon to be failed experiment known as George Pickens. Dallas has improved, the O-line, but the run game is going to be by committee. It's going to be just, I don't know. I don't like it, but this is what the league does.
Usually the openers have a habit of being blowouts. More often than not, just because the champs want to show out and put up a crooked number on ring night. I'm guessing you kind of see this as nothing's changing as far as that trend's concerned.
Here's the thing. Philly, for the most part, is bringing back its core. They have lost some guys on defense. They lost a bit, Darius Slade and some other guys. So that secondary is going to be kind of interesting. But I think how that game will go is probably, it's first game of the season. Could be a little closer than we think. But I think after, 3 quarters, Philly will just give it to Saquon. Saquon will bust a couple runs, and it'll be like a 2-score win.
Especially as we know, Dallas's run defense didn't exactly improve much last year. So if that streak continues, Saquon could indeed have a big night.
Yeah. So, and just like I said, I would have liked to seen somebody else. I think Dallas is just it's all it is. It's just by its name is all it is. They're gonna have to really do something this year for people to really respect them again. They're a joke at this point.
Ooh, a big J word. Uh, um, to your point about Darius Slay, is it almost a possibility, even if George Pickens doesn't have a big game and maybe he has a pounding contest on the sideline, maybe his presence at least with a retooled Philadelphia secondary will allow CD to cut loose a little bit and make things interesting.
Well, it could. It's Pickens is a talent. There's no doubt about it. But let's be honest, he's a head case. So let's say Dak falls into old habits and just starts going to CD 3 or 4 times. Is Pickens gonna sit there and be a team player, or is he gonna be like I didn't come here just to stand here and be window dressing? But then the question is, will the run game even be a factor? Like, let's be real. Is Deuce Vaughn going to be their starter? They have him, Miles Sanders. It's going to be, QB by committee. There's nowhere around it. So this offense is just there's not enough on it for me. Tight end is decent as well, but I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of I would Dallas is almost like the type of team that like I cannot put faith in them again until I see them, go forward and do something significant.
Yeah, they're gonna have that. They're gonna have a couple games this year where people are gonna be like, "Uh-oh, they're back," because it's just what happens. And the next thing you know, by week 11 or 12, they just fall apart. Dak unfortunately gets hurt, or something happens, and then we're like, "All right, they're just back to where they are." And of course, the big cloud over this whole thing is Micah Parsons. Are they going to give him a new contract? So there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, there's talent on the team, but I don't think there's enough where you can tell me they're a 12 or 13 win team.
Well, based off Jerry's track record, it'll be August. I'm gonna put the over under on 22nd.
Oh wow, you're oh, shoot. I'm going September 2nd.
A whopping 5 days before the opening night. Very good.
Jerry's got to get the headlines. Why not?
Yeah. Um, we them boys. We them boys. Another game that's gonna have which is kind of like the 1B opening night. The NFL did the Sao Paulo, the Brazil experiment last year, and it was coincidentally enough the Eagles, obviously now on opening night. They opened this Brazil tradition last year. Now the Chiefs get to do it. The Super Bowl runner-up, or I'm sure the Big L, Super Bowl loser, sounds much more nicer to us.
Le who? The her.
All righty then. They're playing the Chargers. Of course, the Chiefs were not going to give up a home game. Why would they? I can't imagine them ever being that kind of selfless. But they will be playing the Chargers in Sao Paulo. And are you more excited about this? Less excited, at least compared to Packers Eagles last season?
Yeah, slightly. Like, I think the Chargers are up and coming. Like, I think they're going to be a decent team this year for sure. But I honestly would have liked, I don't know, maybe Buffalo, something like that, like something to kind of really juice it up. Because honestly, I think they kind of fell flat on opening night with the Cowboys. So I think give the Chiefs a little juice, or maybe even the Ravens, give it a little something. But I guess the league kind of feels that the Chargers are gonna make some noise this year. So, and the Chiefs have their questions as well. They've tried to retool the offensive line. The wide receivers are healthy. There's no brand names on this wide receiver crew, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And then there's Travis, so it's going to be interesting to see. But I guess seeing the league trying to bring up a new team that maybe has some talent that all of a sudden could possibly dethrone the Chiefs. Maybe that's their thinking.
Yeah, and like I mean, I guess it's kind of a flip from last year because to start off this Sao Paulo thing, they picked two brand named like household franchise names. So you're right, it's kind of feels a little odd to go with an up and comer and a division rival instead. It's kind of reverse course for lack of a better word.
Unless the league knows something, and all of a sudden, the Chiefs fall apart, and here come the Chargers. So I think it's fun. Like I said, Herbie is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I think he's kind of had it rough the last couple of years. So hopefully the Chargers can come out and really do something. So I think it'll be interesting. I think you're going to see the Chiefs kind of. It's going to be real business this year for them because of the way they lost, the way that season ended, and I think a lot of people still feel that they are the elite of the AFC. I kind of think a little different. I think some teams have caught up to them, so I think this is a dogfight for them this year. So they're going to have to come out strong, but it'll be fun to see what the Chargers do.
You might be onto something with the league knowing something because as we all know, it's rigged.
There is no script. What are you talking about? There is no script.
um. Uh. Oh, and I will say just like I would think like as far as us trying to figure out why they went this way instead of with a higher profile team. I
Mm-hmm.
almost would maybe put my thumb on it being the business decision because if you think of the two optimal, the two big rivals, the Ravens and Buffalo, they kicked off the season last year with the Ravens, so I almost kind of feel like that was almost not likely to happen 2 years in a row to burn the Ravens game on opening night. And then from the Buffalo's perspective, I'm sure that CBS holds on to that matchup like gold. So I'm sure they would not like to lose that one out to YouTube of all people, which I was not necessarily expecting that to be the broadcast affiliate for this Sao Paulo game.
And showing it for free. You just turn on your YouTube and there it is. So the league is given back to the community at least once, because if you have to pay for like all the streaming services, if you want to watch every game and now all of that, it's going to cost you like $1,500 this year.
It,
So
it, it's a
the league,
shekel from the shekel
yeah.
from Ebenezer Scrooge.
Ebenezer Goodell said, "Here you go. Here's a little something for you.
Please, sir, I'd like some more.
Can I get a half a game of football, please, for free?"
Yes. Um. So the Chiefs. Last year we were unfortunately subjected to them going on what was it 12 and 0, 13 and 0 by the time they eventually lost. Um I feel like very gratefully the odds of that happening again are not as high based on the schedule they have and I am so grateful for that.
Oh, this schedule. This schedule's no joke. This schedule, I think, is gonna really show what the Chiefs are. I think if they had this schedule a couple of years ago, I think they would have handled it a lot better because there's a
Yeah.
lot of questions. Is Travis going to be the Travis of old? I don't think so. I think he's going to his role is going to change a bit. I think you're going to see some two tight ends set. Noah Gray, he showed up out of nowhere towards the end of the year. So I think you're going to see that. Like if the wide receivers are healthy now, so is Hollywood Brown going to, be the guy? What happens, with Worthy? Is he going to actually run some routes, or is he still going to be that straight down the field and that's it guy? Is Rice going to be good? There's that defense. Now, mind you, that defense is solid. It's a year older. Is Chris Jones going to be, dominant again this year? Is the run game going to be good? Are they going to run Pachenko into the ground and, he ends up getting hurt and being out for multiple weeks?
and,
There's talent, there's talent on the team, but I think teams have started to figure them out.
and have to pick up someone like Kareem Hunt off the scrap heap again to get by.
Yeah, right. It's like who they're picking up this week. I think they'll keep Kareem Hunt. He was actually a godsend for them. But
Hmm.
I think last year teams figured out what to do. And yeah, they may have gotten some pieces on that O line, but I think a lot of teams have gotten better, and it's going to be interesting to see. So, but yeah, there's not going to be this talk of undefeated going into week 13, 14. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean we'll later in the summer we'll get into all the schedules and picking them out game by game. But I do just kind of want to have a big overall perspective on the Chiefs just because in their first 9 games before their bye week is in week 10. The first 9 games, they have to play the aforementioned Chargers in Brazil, the Eagles, a Super Bowl rematch, the Ravens, the Lions, Washington, and Buffalo. That is 9 games. You've got one, two, three, four, five, six, at least playoff, if not Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, exactly. So, mind you, Chiefs fans, respect the run you've been on. You can't look me dead in my eye and tell me, oh man, yeah, they're 10-0, 10-0 easy. This is gonna happen. I'm telling you, and what you're seeing is a lot of those teams are fast
Yeah.
offensively, quick, defensively, fast, quick. Like this is, if you told me they went 7-3 those 10 games, I'd be impressed. I would be highly impressed. 7-3. I
Wow.
think they're more. I think they're more of a 6-4, maybe even just barely 500 tops. That's tough right there.
And it's going to be exposed for all the world to see because as we noted, the YouTube game will be available to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Lions game will be on Sunday night. The
Mm-hmm.
Washington game will be on Monday night. I'm sure Baltimore and Buffalo are going to be games of the week. Now they've got a couple others they've got another Sunday nighter and another Monday nighter against some lesser opponents, but there's a lots of uh, prime viewership eyes within those first 9 games. So if they do struggle, like they may, or maybe even like we hope, um, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that.
Oh, it is, and it's not sour grapes. It's one of those things where when a team is shoved down your throat, as the Chiefs have in the last 3 or 4 years, everyone wants to see them fail. Just like people want to see the Cowboys fail, and it's not because they're good and they win; they're bad, but they're forced down our throats. So it's like we want to see this, and it's one of those things where now if Patrick is going to be the anointed goat, as everyone was ready to give him the throne, he's going to have to work through this. And if that offense doesn't start to click, they're going to have some problems.
Yeah. I will say the saving grace in their second half, if they do kind of have a little bit of a rough stretch through those first 9 games. I mean, you've got the Broncos twice, who are good, but obviously not on the level of any of those. You got the Chargers again. You've got the entire AFC South besides Jacksonville, and of course the Raiders again as well. So it's a little easier in the second half for them to kind of lick their wounds and get back in playoff form.
It is, but their division has gotten better. Like literally, Denver's defense is legit. If for what the pieces they have, and you look at that defense, if those guys play to their potential, that's an elite defense. I think the
Yeah,
Raiders might surprise them one game. They may keep it close. They finally got a quarterback. They've got a run game again. They've got some pieces. So, like I said, if they can eke out 11 or 12 wins, that's highly impressive. But if you told me today, the Chiefs end up with 10 wins, I'd be like, I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah. It's funny how 10 wins can be something soured on.
Exactly, but that's the way of the league, and there's been a lot of shift this last couple of years, and now it's come to fruition now.
How lovely would it be to see the Chiefs with that home field advantage?
Hey man, this could be the year. We might have to we might have to have a non-home field advantage party.
Yes, the first one in history.
Yep. I'll hang the banner up. We'll just play Taylor Swift all night and be like, yeah.
Road Warriors. Um,
Yep.
so another big note to this season, and I feel like the international games have been kind of growing as it is, but this year for some reason it feels like there's more. I've got a total of 6 games playing overseas, 7 if you count the Brazil game on opening week.
Yeah, it's usually been like 4, right? I think it's been like 4, 3 or 4, and like that's been it. But now, like I said, last year they had, Sao Paolo, they had that, and now it's I think last year it really exploded, and the league probably in another 5 or 6 years is going to look to put a team out there. Like, let's be real. The rumor has always been the Jaguars were going to be the team to leave and go overseas and going to start this whole thing. So the crowds have been good. Like when we get up at like 9 in the morning to watch this, like only because it's football am I getting up. If this was the NBA, I'm like, I don't care. I'm not getting up at 9. I'm not watching my Spurs at 9, even though I love them. I'm not watching them. But we get up and we watch these games. Some of them were ho hum, but we're like, and then you watch the crowds and you're like, these people are into it. They've embraced it.
Well, that's a good point because normally these games are not very entertaining, but last year they had a little bit more juice to them,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a bit more diversity as far as the teams they've sent over there. They've sent some quality opponents, some quality franchises over there to play, so it's kind of more of a hat tip to the investment the league wants to do as far as showcasing teams instead of just throwing random teams over there who don't have good fan drawings and just to get eyeball, just to kind of do it.
Yeah, like they had to. Like there's a point, like you said, it's an investment. There's a point where you give them a little taste of it. Okay, fine, we'll give you here are the Jags and here are the Seahawks. Now, mind you, Seahawks decent team, but still, like it's not like what they were years ago. So you're bottom tiering teams and such, mid teams. You're like, okay, now if those guys are going crazy for that, what happens when you bring over, the Chiefs, the Chargers, teams that are, either at that level or getting to that level? That's what you want. You're trying to sell your product because you're looking to put a franchise over there. And no one can tell me otherwise. That's what they want to do. So you've got to give them your best. And I think they've done a good job of slowly building it up. But now, like next year, you're going to have to see some elite teams over there.
Yeah. The Cowboys in Germany, the Chiefs in Dublin.
Yeah, go ahead. Send the Cowboys and the Jets. They can play. That'd be great.
That would be amazing. um,
It's like punishment.
yes. Speaking of Dublin, this is a new one. They're playing in Ireland, and the first of 2 games for the Vikings. Like you said, we're always used to seeing 2 or 3 games out of the Jags over there, but the Jags are only overseas once. The Vikings are over there twice, and they kick off the series in Dublin against the Steelers. So what's now? I mean, we have to, I guess, take this with a grain of salt because the Steelers still don't have a quarterback. But assuming they figure that out, whoever it may be, what's your kind of take on this game?
Wow. Yeah, send the mediocreness over there. Send the new renters of the fraudulent motel overseas. That's great. Steelers don't even have a quarterback. Like really, who like unbelievable. For all the talk of a franchise that's run properly, I've never seen a hot mess before in my life. So you got a guy holding you hostage. He doesn't even know if he's going to play. What a joke. Mason Rudolph, I hope, throws for 400 yards on the Vikings. I hope he does well.
Oh,
He's going to be
whoa,
your.
whoa! Why the harshness against the Vikings?
You know what? Because the Steelers deserve this. This is how it's got to be. Because, we hear how great Mike Tomlin is. Oh, he's great. Look what he's done. The man's been mediocre for like 12, 13 years. 9-8 is the new participation trophy. It's ridiculous. So now, and now mind you, the Vikings are in their own little, conundrum. JJ McCarthy, the starter. For a while, everyone thought Aaron Rodgers was going to go there. I kind of wanted that because I wanted Brett Favre 2.0.
Yeah.
Won't lie. But who knows? The way the Falcons may go, they may send Kurt over there because they're going to be a horrible mess anyways. They're going to need draft picks. So I like the Vikings. I just Pittsburgh. I don't know. It's hey. I guess it works from a perspective of this team has been one of the great teams throughout the NFL's history. It's a tent pole. It's one of the pillars of the league. We have to give the Steelers that. But I don't know. I would have probably liked somebody else.
So you're more upset. You're more upset with Pittsburgh than Minnesota.
Yeah, like fine, Minnesota. All right, I guess I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know if they needed 2 games, but Jay Jettas, he's to a lot of people the best best wide receiver in the league. They've got talent on there. It's just what is this offense going to be with JJ McCarthy now?
Yeah.
So you have to show off your product. So okay, the Vikings, it's not horrible, but I think I would have given them someone else besides Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, like you said, this is the first of 2 they have, and the other one is another AFC North opponent. They are playing the Browns, another potential quarterback situation.
Jeez Louise, man. Really? All right. So you got 5 quarterbacks. You don't even know who's going to start. You're just drafting quarterbacks for the fun of it. Don't know if it's Dylan Gabriel, Shador. Is Flacco going to make it through and somehow sneak himself into the starting role? We know Deshaun isn't going to do anything. So it's like,
we're not sure if Deshaun's going to show up.
Man, just give the man his money and move on. Just really. So, like, the quarterback position is just a mess there. Their offense is just – you got to hope it's a 10-9 game. That's what you got to shoot for. That's the only way the Browns are winning any games.
All defense.
Yeah, exactly. Myles Garrett's going to have more rushing yards than anybody else on the team. It's going to be a mess. Like, I feel bad for Browns fans. It's sad, but it is what it is. But all right, put the Browns in.
The Brits will love that. Their first international game. One team with a young quarterback, another team with no quarterback. Out of 5.
Literally, it's like the fans go, all right, everyone pick a number. All right, sir, what does your card say? 3? All right, Dylan Gabriel, you're in for a series. Go ahead. Like,
I thought you were going to say, okay, sir, you get to be the quarterback for the day.
The way it's going, it might be. It might be because I don't know what's going to come of this hodgepodge of mediocrity they got going.
Right. Speaking of a hodgepodge of mediocrity, actually that may be a compliment to the New York Football Jets. And
I'd rather have seen the Jets play the Vikings than Pittsburgh.
Aw, yeah.
Let's be realistic. Justin Fields is better than Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, and it is a new era with the Jets. Fields, Aaron Glenn. Kind of a much-needed fresh start off of the Aaron Rodgers era, the brief Aaron Rodgers era. And you made a joke that the Browns-Vikings game could be 10-9. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Broncos-Jets game of last year was 10-9 and rather ugly. So are we due in for another ugly one, or is this kind of refinding themselves Jets team going to get shredded by Bo Nix?
I think the Jets, everyone has to temper expectation. Like, they've got talent on the team. They definitely do. They've got some talent. There's no doubt about it. Denver, I like Denver this year. Denver, I think, we all laugh. We were horrible to Bo Nix last year when we picked them. We were like, we're gonna be lucky to win 2 games. We
Yeah,
were all over them. Next thing you know, that Bo Nix and those guys are world beaters. I
yeah.
think that defense is going to be great. That offense is going to be solid. I think it'll be a fun game. I think it will be a fun game. The Jets are just going to have to, figure it out. It's going to take some time, but I think they are definitely in a better direction than they were last year.
Bucks McGee, I think that is the most positive thing I have ever heard you say about the Jets in 22 years.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm fine with them. The hate. I'm all good. It's not like they're the Saints.
Actually, that's a fair point. Actually, I should correct myself because I seem to remember at one point recently a bet to wear the Aaron Rodgers jersey if they were to be the one to take down the Chiefs. I should correct myself.
Seriously, I was ready to wear that god awful green. If they had to be the team to do it, I was ready. But you can't ask them to do anything, so you just let them play out in the woods and just whatever happens happens. But I think the Jets are, hopefully, Glenn can turn them around and they can be decent, because right now that division is rough.
And you do indeed have much disdain for the Saints. Fortunately, we are not. We will not be forced to watch the Saints in an international contest this year. However, we will be forced to watch a team that I have equal disdain for, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Uh, and they quote unquote host the Rams, the LA Rams, in the final UK international game. And I feel like even with the way the playoffs went for the Rams, they're probably still in a good position to thrash up on the Jags a bit.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think the Rams are, that defense is young and it really showed out last year. They've got the weapons. As long as they can keep Stafford upright, they've got a chance. Williams at running back, as long as he doesn't fumble. I think he had a couple of iffy carries towards the end of the year, but still that team is built. They will compete. A lot of people will probably pick them to win. The West.
Mm.
This year. So I think they're going to be fine. The Jags, they got to figure it out. I'm telling you, this is the year that Sunshine needs to figure it out. If
Sunshine.
if if Trevor can't figure it out, then you know what? He was a bust. He was a bust. I'll be honest. He was a bust. They need to figure it out. It can't be a 3 or 4 year project because at that point, he's starting to hit the other side of the potential ladder there. They've got some pieces, but this is it. Like literally, if they win less than 7 games, people are going to start whispering it's time to move on.
I can't totally say that would surprise me because this is a guy as talented as he is, that with as prestigious a college career as he had. This is a guy that did not attend the draft, was known to be the number one pick for months on end, if not years on end, really. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there were rumors that he kind of didn't really have a passion for football. And not only did Jags still go through with selecting him, but they also gave him, a $50 million a year contract, a couple of years ago or so. So I can't, but I can't necessarily say with all this considered that if they bottom out again and he gets the bust label on him, I can't necessarily say that surprises me. Would
Well,
surprise.
that's the thing. So did you pay him all that money because you're hoping you could, rekindle his love of football? Like, if that's truly the issue there, then there's a serious problem. So then you bring in Liam Cohen, first, Liam
I was
Cohen, you bring
gonna
him.
say, I was gonna say, maybe we should have a unison jersey kind of ceremony of sorts for this early morning game, and each wear a bargain basement type of Rams affiliate for the day.
I'll find a Jim Everett Rams jersey from like '87 or something, whatever it takes. But so you bring in this guy, he's going to be your head coach, and you think he's going to turn it all around. You got some issues there. He's not going to turn it into Tampa 2.0. They don't have the pieces. Your running back is beat up every year. He can't stay healthy. Wide receiver, you've got some pieces, but like, what is this team going to be? So it all falls on Trevor. If he can't be the guy this year, then maybe you sit there and you say, all right, well, maybe we got to start looking, maybe tank the season, Archie Manning. I don't know, but they're in a weird position.
Arch.
Yeah, good old Arch.
Well, based on the way these schedules shape up, there's another team that could be in line to take Arch, but we will discuss that a little later on. Speaking of teams with quarterbacks that teams may be questioning the decision to draft them, overall is my team, the Indianapolis Colts. We are playing overseas. I don't remember. Did we play last year or the year before? Anyway, it was something in recent memory. We're going over it again, but this time we're playing in Germany, quote unquote, hosting the Atlanta Falcons, of course, another team that you have a great iron disdain for.
Yeah, huh? Kirk Cousins. What an investment. When it comes to the Colts, the question is who's the quarterback? Who's it going to be? Is it AR? Can AR stay healthy? AR's got the physical tools, but is he ready? Does he need to sit another year? Danny Dimes, I think could be the guy. I really do. I think Danny Dimes got a bad rap in New York. I honestly, I don't know if he was worth the big contract. That's a whole other conversation. But he also had barely any weapons. The team was just a mess. So I think this could revitalize his career. He's got a quality running back. He's got decent weapons around him, offensively. I think he could do some stuff. And the guy can move in the pocket. The guy can move. He can scramble a bit. So I think that adds a little something that I don't think you guys have had really in a little while. So I think he's the guy.
Especially considering the fact that where AR can do that, he does, and he gets hurt every single time.
Yep. And then the head coach says, yeah, go back out there. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I think Danny Dimes could be it for you. And if he has a really good year this year, then maybe the AR experiment, you just chalk it up and, he becomes a trade piece somewhere. Someone will take a chance on him. Maybe goes to Pittsburgh. He could be the guy in Pittsburgh because he knows what they got there.
I can't imagine AR has much trade value at all right now. I would almost prefer them just not extend him and let it expire.
Yeah, but there's always one team that's like, oh, we can fix him. We can fix him. So if someone's willing to sit there and say 5th or a 6th round pick, at least you get something for him.
Jets, Raiders, Browns, takers.
The Browns will give you a 4th for him. What are you talking about? They'll overpay for him.
You know what? That would be a slightly just desserts for the Trent Richardson situation of many years past.
Oh, Trent. Good old Trent. But it's going to be interesting to see. But I don't know. Something tells me that Danny Dimes is the guy week 1 for you guys. And I don't think it's a bad thing.
So the final international game is probably the best one of the bunch. Washington and Miami in Madrid. No. Well, I know Miami's not great, but I mean,
no. It could be fun, but here's the problem: as long as Tua's healthy, as long as Tua's standing, because let's be honest, every week a Miami game is on. The number one thought is, will Tua make it through the game? That's the number one thought. Exactly. And then number 2 is, are they going to keep Tyreek? Because don't forget, all this offseason, there were rumblings about, oh, maybe we'll trade him. Maybe it's time to let him go. Maybe it's time to move on. Because right now, if Miami doesn't do anything this year, everyone from the head coach down is gone. Like it has to be torn down, because there was all this talk, all this potential a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago. We thought, oh, Miami's going to be it. This is it for Miami. They're really going to turn it around. They've got the weapons. And then Tua gets hurt, and then it's like, oh, boy. And then after that, it just snowballed. And yeah, with Tua, it's your opinion. Some people were like, you know what, just hang it up, man. Just hang it up. You've made some money, live your long life. Other people, no, he has the right to play if he wants to play. And he's talked it over with his family and they said, yeah, go ahead. So it's really tough, but this team will only go as far as Tua, and Tua needs to be 17 games plus if they make the playoffs. I don't know.
In such a hypothetical of this resulting in disaster again and them blowing it up and starting from scratch, do you think that's solely on on Mike McDaniel, or is it a little more of a bigger perspective as far as that, you know, players type of coach. I'm your coach, but I'm also your boy. That sort of thing. Is it more micro or more macro as far as what didn't work here
I,
potentially?
I, it, I don't know. It could be. I think the Tua situation really hinders this, and your franchise hinges on whether this guy makes it through a game every week. It's not like, oh, well, the guy's been beat up, and we always talk about quarterbacks that have taken their lumps, and like we talk about Stafford. As long as he stays healthy, then he's going to be good. But he's played through injuries, but nothing like this. Like if Tua gets blindsided, guys get. You don't want to say it, but the guy could be done,
Hmm.
and then that sets back your franchise how long? So it's more than that. There's the Tyreek issue. You guys are talking about getting rid of Ramsey. The Jalen was supposed to get traded. So at this point, I think the only way this team survives is if they make the playoffs. They have to make the playoffs. If not, I think they're going to look new head coach. And if that's the case, then maybe Tua goes somewhere else.
Make the playoffs and not lose by 25 or 30 points like they did in the snow at Kansas City.
Yeah, well, yeah, if they can be somewhat competitive, I think if they were to make the playoffs, it would still save the head coach's job. I think he'd still have a job, but then it would be like, all right, well, Tua made it through the year, we're good now. What are you guys going to do? But I still think you're going to see changes on that roster.
I just realized we didn't say a single thing about Washington, so I guess it's safe to say you just think it's Jaden Daniels ripping Miami a new one.
I like Washington. I think they're fun, but this is going to be interesting. Is it going to be okay? We believe our hype,
Yeah.
because they were no one picked them to do what they did last year. No one. So now it's okay. They've been brought up to elite status in the NFC. Are they that legit, or if they go 5-5, the first 10 games? Okay, well maybe they weren't ready yet. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think if Washington plays to its best, they should be able to handle Miami. I just don't think Miami has it.
Yeah. Well, happier topics ahead. Holidays will be upon the NFL schedule before too long. And Thanksgiving, there's been a few Thanksgivings in recent years where they've kind of just been like, okay, we have it on while we're eating because these games royally stink. But they may have actually given us some good ones this year. Fox kicks it off with, of course, the Lions in the early hole hosting the Packers. So, divisional rivalry. Hopefully, Jordan Love's not hurt this year and we'll actually have a good one to start the day. The
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys in the afternoon time slot on CBS and not hosting some porous divisional rival whose better years are behind them, but they're hosting the Chiefs. So Cowboys Chiefs right in the middle of Turkey Day, and then the prime time. Normally this one is something that's forgotten a lot, but this is Cincinnati Baltimore. You could argue that, of course, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson could be the two best quarterbacks in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I will note, because normally the Black Friday game is something miserable that you just otherwise should ignore. Bears and Eagles, at least on paper, the Bears could be something interesting, and of course the defending champs. So we've got 4 games in that Thanksgiving Black Friday slot that look very, very enticing.
They do. The game that I'm least excited about is the Chiefs and Cowboys, just because it's the Cowboys. I just and I know they play. I know they play on Thanksgiving. Like I get it, but it's like the Cowboys have got to prove that they're good. But it's the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are playing, if they're playing against Muka University, they're gonna get their views. So the league is gonna get millions of people watching. So it's Thanksgiving, could be good.
Well, and if the Chiefs don't play to potential this season, it may be competitive just from a standpoint that they can't put away the Cowboys and a potential porous run defense if that's not improved.
It could be the Cowboys could be the ones to put the nail in the coffin. If you think about it, maybe they play out of body experience. Dak throws for 4 or 5 touchdowns, and at that point, the Chiefs are hanging on for dear life. So it could happen, But overall, it's definitely a good slate of games. I'm impressed, especially the Black Friday, like you said. The Black Friday game is interesting. The Bears are going to be interesting this year. Everyone's going to watch to see what Ben Johnson does there. Today, there was some stuff that came out that Caleb did want to go to the Bears. I guess there's a book coming out from Seth, Wickersham, Patriot lover, and talks about, there's there's a section of the book that talks about the Bears and how Caleb was actually talking to lawyers about how to circumvent the system so he wouldn't go to Chicago. So it's going to be interesting how this develops. Maybe Chicago doesn't even worry about it and they love him and things are good. Or they hide his nail polish and say, you know what, we don't want you here now. And players hate him. I don't know. It's going to be a little interesting sub-story. But if the Bears can play to potential, they've got weapons all over the place.
I know that's a terrible timing for this story to come out because they've brought in so much talent to add into the talent they amassed last year, and they hired the offensive guru in Ben Johnson to kind of get Caleb to another level. So this is very, very poor timing for a story like this to be made public.
Oh, it is. Now he's going to have to sit there and be the greatest, rah guy in the locker room and for the organization. And I'm sure, they'll be able to figure this out and get through it. But Caleb's going to have to be the guy. He's going to have to, definitely improve from what he did last year. If he can, then the Bears are going to be a threat. But if he can't and he plays like he did last year, those weapons are they're going to sit there and rot.
Is Cincy and Baltimore a matchup for AFC quarterback supremacy? Are we kind of like, is Mahomes' kind of window a little bit faded right now, and Josh Allen, we're tired of waiting? Is it these two for dominance?
You would think so, but with Cincinnati, it's okay. Well, how do you guys start the season? The fact is they're horrible at the beginning of the season, and they're by like this point of the year and by Thanksgiving, they're trying to dig themselves out of the hole. And it's like, okay, they'll put up 40 points, but give up 43 points because they did not improve that defense. Trey Hendrickson wants out. So, they're going to put up 40 points, but probably give up 50. So it'll be an interesting shootout to see, but for Lamar, this is it. I honestly believe if they can't at least get to the Super Bowl this year, something's wrong in Baltimore, because it's like how many times have we said this is the team, and they just can't get it done. So
especially since they finally had consistency in the run game and health in the run game last season with Derrick Henry.
Exactly, and they sat there, gave him an extension. So this is it. Like if they can't get to the Super Bowl this year, at that point, it's a wrap. Baltimore is truly fraudulent. Like right now, they're waiting in the wings. Like I was all about Baltimore last year. I felt they were ready, and yet again, So right now, I'm looking at them going,
Another contender for the motel.
right now Pittsburgh is just there because they're just 9-8 and horrible. But if the Ravens can't figure it out, they're ready to go. It's the truth, man. Like, come on, somebody. So I've never seen a team so talented not do anything. I can't figure it out. It's a hot mess.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what will not be a hot mess this season is the Christmas Day triple header. Not a traditional NFL holiday. They've really we've gone over this many times in the past, how they steal the thunder from the NBA. And
You're so bitter about it, though. Like when we talk about it, you're like, "Oh, there's the NFL, all of it, the NBA," and I'm like, well, "Because no one cares about the NBA, bro. Let's just be real. No one cares anymore. It's over. The '90s are done. The '90s are done."
ironically, you say that as the NBA, as Round Ball Rock will make a return on NBC.
John Tesh, baby, one of the greatest songs of all time. Song of my childhood.
So, and the interesting note with this Christmas triple header is it's all on streaming. So very much a push into the new age and the future of the NFL, fully embracing streaming. Um, Kicks off with a doubleheader on Netflix. The Cowboys in Washington. We've certainly dumped on the Cowboys a lot in this show already, so why not one more time? And a game that had some. It didn't wind up being very competitive, of course, but it did have some intrigue at the end of last year for the NFC North. The Lions and the Vikings go at it, and a primetime cap because Christmas happens to fall on a Thursday this year. That's the normal Amazon night, which will be Denver and Kansas City, which I feel like has some intrigue in Denver's little resurgence and Kansas City kind of being maybe a little vulnerable. So I think this is a real solid. I don't know if you think like it's a better slate than the Thanksgiving Black Friday games, but I think there's a lot of juice here.
I think it might slightly be better, and I think it's only because the night game with Denver and Kansas City. I think if, like I said, if Denver plays to potential, they could be the team that overtakes the Chiefs in that division. I think Denver's really good, but no, I think it's a solid slate. Yeah, Dallas, fine, whatever. Washington. Like I said, people are going to sit there and want to watch again the dismantling of the Cowboys and see, George Pickens probably run up and punch Santa Claus or something like that. So it'll be entertaining. But no, I think it's a fun slate. I like it. I'm excited. Like I said, the late game for me is going to be the game to watch. So no, I think it's good.
So I have to push you a little on that one then. So you're more excited to fight off the midnight oil with Broncos and Kansas City more than you will be Bengals and Ravens.
Yeah, because I want to see two good teams play. Like right now, Cincinnati's not good. If you're telling me if this is fantasy football and I'm
Yeah.
watching the points, or if one of my I'm here betting on DraftKings or something, then yeah,
Yeah.
give me Cincinnati Ravens points of Palooza. But if I want to watch them, because I like some defense, I think it'll be a good game. Plus, it's the Chiefs, and if the Broncos can beat them, it's a divisional game. It just adds there's more juice to that there. Cincinnati is an unknown entity because, like I said, defense is horrible. They can score points. They can't stop anybody. So Baltimore, I think, will probably win that game.
To your point about this being a pivotal divisional game, because of the way Christmas falls, it's actually week 17. So not only is this a pivotal divisional game, but it's right at the end of the season where this could make or break playoff seeding.
Right. But if we look at it from the last couple of years, Baltimore's already wrapped up the one or wrapped up division and stuff. So it's like, okay, they may not even have to play anybody, depending.
No. I'm
Now,
talking about from Denver,
oh,
Kansas City's perspective.
true. But this is also the first year where we've kind of questioned where the Chiefs are going to go. So yeah, the Chiefs might need this game
Yeah.
more than we know. So I think there's even more juice there
Yeah.
if it holds that way. That late game could be okay. Are the Chiefs fighting for the one spot? Have they already locked, or maybe they're to the 2 or the 3 spot and they've locked it in? I think there's a little more there for that game than it is for Cincinnati and Baltimore, because if it all follows norm, Cincinnati's just putting up 40 points to end the season and feel cool about themselves.
Yeah. And again, hopefully we're not dealing with a 12-1, 13-1 Chiefs team at this point.
There is no way. No way.
All right, Bucks McGee. We've talked about the other teams enough. Let's talk about our teams.
All right, here we
We'll,
go.
we'll start with your Bucks first. And again, we'll go through every game individually later this summer. But you're looking at a week 9 bye. You've
Mm-hmm.
got, as far as quality opponents in the first half, you've got two, other than the Panthers, you've got 2 divisional games early. You've got the defending champs. You've got the
Mm-hmm.
Niners. You've got the Lions, which has been an interesting rivalry in the last couple of years for you.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Seahawks and the Jets and the Texans. So it's kind of a mixed bag. There's winnable games. There's certainly winnable games in there, but there's also
Mm-hmm.
opponents that, aside from the Eagles and the Lions, maybe they're not world beaters, but they may be a little trappy as far as talented foes.
Oh no, I love the schedule. We've played the Eagles well, so I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, we've beaten them. We're the only team in the league that's beaten them twice in the last couple of years. So we've got that up. But I'm not. But it's the Eagles. They're the champs. You give them their credit. For me, it's more Detroit.
Yes.
I would honestly like to go into Detroit and beat them. I would like that. That game falls on my birthday, so
I was
I
gonna say. I was
I need Baker to give me the greatest birthday present of all time.
gonna say.
But and the Niners, I don't know what the Niners are gonna be, man. The Niners have lost so much. Like right
Yeah.
now,
Oh,
we're going by name only, but the Niners are not what they are. It is McCaffrey going to be good? Like, what is his situation?
Oh, I won't dispute you one bit on that one. I'm very, very down on the Niners this season, so I will not dispute you at all there.
So if you were to tell me the first 9 games, I'm 7-2. I'm loving life. I'm loving life.
Well, that would set up a very favorable second half because there's a lot of teams. I don't necessarily know if you're high on the Patriots quite yet with their new kind of era and Drake May with another year under his belt. But after that, you have 2 back-to-back road games against the Bills and the Rams before a significantly more favorable finish. So I feel like if you can have something of a 7-2 first half, that sets you up very, very good for the second run, even with these 2 potential death matchups.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for us, I like playing Atlanta first game of the season. At this point, get to Penix early and let's see what's going on. They picked up some edge rushers in the draft, but let's see what they are. We've got the bad taste in our mouth, especially from that Thursday night loss and such. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
you
Which
know,
wasn't
so
even Penix. That was
no,
still yeah.
it was Kurt. Yeah, and now you guys are paying him 90 million to sit on the bench, man. What a freaking franchise that is. But like I said, 7-2 to start. 9 games. I'd be happy with that. We've got a lot of weapons. I think the defense is going to be better, so I'm excited to see what happens. But
Yeah.
we got to play the games.
And on the other games, We'll do a quick overview of my team's schedule. The Colts. It's funny. I mean, the Tyreek thing kind of got a life of its own, but of course that is our week 1 matchup. So we will find out very quickly if Tyreek's angry or upset at all from that one.
Dude, Tyreek's just hoping Tua stays upright. So at this point, he's just like, okay, just let me get my 6 catches, and
Yeah.
let's move on.
um, and I mean, it's really not a horrible first half. We have a week 11 bye. I always loved the late bye weeks because during the Peyton Manning years, I feel like we never got late bye weeks. We always had like week 5, week 6 bye weeks.
Yeah, you guys were always like the first half, and it was like, oh, good luck with that. Ugh.
Yeah. We have the Germany game, which is right before the bye week, so it's nice to do the travel and then actually get a break. Of course,
Right.
we have our annual grudge match with the Steelers. Um, we do have to go to LA to play the Rams. We do have the Broncos, but at least they're at home. And other than that, I think it's a pretty favorable first half. I think we probably have more challenges in the second half. But I mean, any kind of things stand out there. I mean, Pittsburgh. I know they're gonna be. I know we're down on them right now, but Pittsburgh always plays us tough. I never trust that game.
Yeah, but honestly, look, you got to look at Pittsburgh. Like literally, offensively, they're horrible. Like, let's be honest. Run game isn't that great. You have DK Metcalf. That's great. Is he throwing to himself?
Yeah,
Like, let's be real. Like,
poor
uh,
DK.
yeah, like let's be honest. Tight end is decent. Tight end is solid, but like the offense doesn't scare you. And the great unknown is the quarterback. Defense is older now, man. Let's be real. TJ Watt still elite. Got to give him his props, but he's another year older, man. Another injury, he'll be out 6-7 weeks.
Which those injuries are becoming much, much, much more consistent as far as being a part of his life.
Yeah, people were talking about, hey, maybe Pitt should possibly think about trading him. See what you can get for him. Let's be real. This team, I understand, the whole, hang your hat on the defense kind of thing, but you did that and wasted way too many years of Watt at his peak.
Yeah.
So now what is this team gonna be? So I could see you beating them.
One could argue they're almost making the same mistakes that Houston made with his brother, wasting the prime of JJ Watt's career.
Yeah, exactly. And he was, Watt was prideful, and he was Houston through and through. But you saw what happened.
Yeah. The second half, it's a little rough because we come out of the bye in Kansas City, and we also have a road game against Seattle, and we're kind of down on the Niners. So maybe and this is on Monday night. I don't remember the last time the Colts hosted a Monday night game. I feel like it's been like 3 years at minimum. But so that one I feel like is probably a little bit more feels a little more confident than it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I kind of don't like about our close of the season is we have to play both Texans games. That one I'm a little. So you factor in both Texans games and the Chiefs and the Seahawks, which are both road games, not ideal.
Now the Seahawks, their defense is solid defense. The offense is going to be interesting because now it's Sam Darnold. Everyone knows you now. There isn't this surprise run like you had with the Vikings. So now you got to be the guy. The run game, if those guys are healthy, they're good. But receiver wise, I think they're going to miss DK a little bit. But they still got some weapons, so it'll be interesting. I think it'll be competitive for sure. So I think if you guys play your cards right, there's probably a couple games you can steal.
Yeah.
It's just whoever the quarterback is. Like I said, I think it's going to be Danny Dimes. I think he gives you the best chance to win. You've got guys there who can, receivers who can help them out. I think at tight end, you've got yourself a big weapon. I think you guys are going to be good. I think you're going to surprise some people, but I think you got to play within yourselves and just, the defense is going to be key. If you guys can, keep it to about 20 points a game, you guys should be all right.
And I think Danny Dimes is the favorite. And there's one team. It's hard to make the argument that any team got a rougher short end of the stick with the schedule than Danny Dimes' former team, the New York Football Giants.
Oh wow, seriously. At that point, I would just say we don't even want to play. Like that schedule is nuts. Now we say that, and next thing you know, they're gonna rip off like 7 wins, and we're gonna be like, whoa, they were better than we thought.
Right. Jackson
Um,
Dart, the real deal.
like seriously, like how does this quarterback situation work? So Russ goes in for what, weeks 1 through 2, weeks through 1 through 3 falls apart. Then you throw Jameis in. He'll have his first game will be great. Then he'll fall apart for 2 games, and then Dart comes in, and the rest is history. That how this is gonna go?
It's so weird to me because we talked about Cleveland as far as they've got all these quarterbacks and none of them seem to be really the answer. The Giants, it's not quite as bad as that, but it's still not great. I mean, you've got Russ way past his prime. You've got Jameis, who we both like Jameis, but it almost feels like there's a disrespect factor. They sign him and sign Russ right away, and on top of it, they go ahead and draft Jackson Dart for the future. So it's a better situation than Cleveland, but it's no more any kind of clearer to decipher.
I give the Giants this though. They didn't let Aaron Rodgers hold them hostage. When he was like when they because they wanted him. They wanted Aaron Rodgers, and he was like, "Oh well, I don't know. I kind of I'm gonna go to Zimbabwe and sit in the jungles and smoke some weird stuff and figure out my life." And then the Giants said, "You know what? Well, you go do you, buddy. We need a quarterback." So they went and handled their business. I could respect that. You signed Jameis, which I liked. I think Jameis has turned it around. I think he's a real locker room kind of guy. I think he would work for the Giants because the Giants are just in purgatory and need to figure out their lives. And then you bring Russ in, and it's like, okay, all right. And then yeah, you draft in theory your future. So I get it. It's just going to be how does this go? If the first 2 guys fall apart that badly, do you put Dart in and say, all right, man, here you go. You're going to figure it out? Because if that happens, I'm sorry, your head coach and your GM are getting bounced. They're fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
And you don't want the kid to get, shellacked, like David Carr, because you saw what happened to him.
Mm.
So it's the Giants did it right, but did it wrong. I think it's really weird. You're like, oh yeah, you didn't let Aaron Rodgers hold you hostage, but then you brought in these 2 guys, and now you got this kid who's going to sit there. Who do you want him to learn from?
Yeah, exactly. The guy who might burn out within a week and a half, or the really good guy, but you almost know he's not going to be there very long.
And the guy who threw 40 touchdowns and 40 interceptions years ago. Like, what do you want? But
couldn't see anything down the field but crab legs.
Sat there and admitted, I got LASIK and now I can see. Okay, buddy. Well, if you had done that at the beginning, who knows where your career would have went?
Yeah.
So it's the Giants. We'll see what happens. Abdul Carter on defense. They'll be able to rush the passer, but I don't know what else you're going to be able to do. I guess it's going to be another 10-9 kind of team. 10 to 9. That's how you win them. 1 point better.
1 point better. We'll save the actual winners and losers for later this summer as usual, but I still want to just run down the Giants schedule just to give this its full glory of how difficult this will be. Washington, Dallas, the Chiefs, the Chargers, New Orleans, okay, Philly, Denver, Philly again, the Niners, the Bears, Green Bay, Detroit Lions, and the Patriots. That week 14 bye is going to be is going to feel like a tropical vacation for the G-men.
That's horrible, man. The NFL does not like the Giants whatsoever. That's horrible. Really, can you legit look down that list and say, okay, let me find you 4 wins?
the Saints and maybe the Patriots, but the Patriots are on an uptick, so that's not even necessarily the guarantee that it was last year or the year before.
Dude, like if they win more than 2 games, it's impressive. Like literally, like this is bad. This is really rough. I don't know.
Their last 4 games is a little bit better. They do come out of the bye and play Washington again, but then it's Minnesota, Vegas, and the Cowboys.
Maybe they split with the Cowboys. Maybe there's a rah-rah moment. Maybe there's a rah-rah moment. Because who knows if Dak's even going to be available past week 12? Who knows if he doesn't get hurt?
Historically, I always feel they do find a way to split with the Cowboys. Now, obviously, the Giants are usually better than they have been, but we've also had a lot of pretty poor Giants teams of late, and to me, I still kind of feel like, at least from a non-Giants fan's perspective, I still kind of feel like there's plenty of years where they split with them.
No, true. It's
the Eagles are usually the ones that they struggle with.
Yeah, exactly. And we all know how the Eagles now with Saquon are. So I'm sure it's going to be quite entertaining to see. It's their defense is going to have to keep them in games. Mistake-free football. It's going to be crazy to see how they navigate the schedule.
Yeah. Well, Bucks McGee, I can't think of any of our usual things that we didn't touch on. We hit the Cowboys, we hit the Chiefs, we hit the Jets, we hit the fraudulent motel. A lot. We talked quarterbacks, we talked international. What are your favorite parts of this schedule, and what are you most looking forward to, sir? Take us off air.
Oh man, opening night, man. It's like it's Christmas, and at that point the world is right. You might be having a rough time now, folks, but once opening night starts, everything balances out. We get to find out who truly runs the fraudulent motel this year. Very excited. Got some new people, and of course, Cowboys fans, there's always next year.